This podcast may contain subject matter that some listeners may find disturbing or harmful. Audience discretion is advised.
Giving free one-sided therapy to the stars of reality. It's Rachel and Kacie with CBT and the TV. CBT and the TV.
All right, hello, darlings, dears, and fellow queers, and welcome back to CBT in the TV. As always, I am Kacie, not Rachel.
And I am Rachel, not Kacie.
And this week, we will be going over Dance Moms Season 1, Episode 11. Forget the actual name of this episode because it's just a lot. There's a lot going on here.
It all ends here.
Oh, it all ends here. Of course, I blocked that out. That's a heavy...
Dark.
Heavy. It is heavy. New characters will be unlocked, and a whole new level of fun time is about to occur. So before we get there, let us check in with Rachel and Kacie's Jar of Fun. All right, our question of the day is, how do you know you're taking good care of yourself, and have you done those things this week?
Yes, I have done them this week. I mostly rested between Friday and Saturday and today, mostly. How I know I'm taking care of myself is I usually have energy. I don't feel like taking a nap.
For me, it's if my skin feels taken care of. If my joints are largely doing what they're supposed to do, there's only so much I can do for that with my EDS. And this week, I did most of it. Let's check in with our snacks and drinks and remind our listeners to feed and hydrate themselves as well, because their bodies are important. Y'all's bodies are important too. So Rachel, what have you got with you today?
So I have some ravioli from Costco, which I need to go and get more of the seasoning for it in my freezer. And agua in my emotional support water.
Very nice. All right. While Rachel goes and gets her seasoning, I will tell you what I have. I have some fun cookies, also from Costco. They are Danish puff pastry strawberry cream cookies. And then I have some sparkling water in my emotional support water bottle. Rachel is back, and we are ready to dive into the episode. We cannot put it off any longer.
Unfortunately.
We open the episode with the team already arriving in Lake Tahoe. The girls are entering the studio that they'll be using for the week. And Abby tells us that this is Nationals and the end of the road. There is nothing after this, no more do-overs. Abby calls everyone in for Pyramid, and she tells them that they'll be doing another new group routine this week, one with props. So, props. Abby tells the girls that she hasn't seen them want to win for weeks, and she wants them to get their enthusiasm back, and that this isn't just about her name anymore. People know them, and so this is about their names too. And Abby begins to talk about the pyramid. Abby reveals that the lowest place on the pyramid has gone to Paige, but she doesn't say anything about it. Next on the pyramid is Kenzie. Again, she says nothing. Next up is Nia. Nothing. And she goes on the rest of the pyramid the same way. She will say the girl's name, nothing after it. So the rest of the pyramid order is Chloe, Brooke, and Maddie at the top. And Abby doesn't even really say anything about Maddie being at the top. Abby tells us that since Maddie is at the top of the pyramid, she'll be performing her solo and a duet with Chloe. She gives Chloe a solo as well. And she also gives a duet to Brooke and Paige. And she tells the Highland girls that she wants to see them work together as friends, not fighting as sisters. And I think this is interesting because I mean, you can't tell a kid that. Like,
You don't really see them fight as sisters on the show.
No, not really. We hear Brooke say, like, my sister can be annoying, but, like, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, you also, kids when they're friends, they fight. Like, I don't know, you can't, that's not gonna. Abby,
Abby is an only child. She doesn't
nope,
understand.
she has no ability. I'm an only child, but I know that. Abby moves on to talking about the group dance for the week, and she tells everyone that the dance will be called My Beauty, even though for the rest of the week she's going to call it This Is My Beauty. So, just Abby things. And we find out that everyone will be in the group dance, and that will include Miss Kenzie. So, no hashtag Kenzie erasure. Yay! Although I did want to ask Rachel if you feel like Kenzie is going to be used as a human prop this week.
I mean, seeing the dance, she comes on, does what she does, and then goes off.
And what she does is get lifted up by the other girls. To me, it's a little human propish. I'm glad to see her in the dance, but I believe she could do more. Kenzie does tell us in an interview that she's scared about being in the group because she doesn't want to mess it up. However, I believe that part of that is because Abby infantilizes her so much that I don't think she's made to believe she can do it. So Abby dismisses everyone, and we head into group rehearsal. Rehearsal starts with Abby giving the girls a bit of a rundown for the story of this week's number, and she tells them that the dance isn't about the pretty costume they're wearing, the beautiful hair and makeup that they'll have. The kind of beauty that this dance is about is the inner beauty that everyone has. And we find out that the props, except for Abby, obviously, and Kathy, but we find out that the props that the girls will be using are handheld mirrors, and they'll be kind of used for they're supposed to be like a moment of reflection. I actually thought this was a really cool concept, and as a choreographer, I really loved it. I was like, well, that's really cool. I hope the judges get that, because while the girls are working, the moms head outside and grab a seat on the steps of the studio for the week to have a chat. Christy and Kelly and Holly begin talking about Abby's weird comments to all the girls in Pyramid about how they haven't wanted to win and they've been lacking in enthusiasm. And Melissa interrupts in a very chirpy Gretchen Wieners kind of way and goes, I think they all did great, which is extra weird when you remember that Melissa was not there last week.
I'm sure she got video.
I'm sure she did too, but it's still
someone.
It's still a very again, I do not doubt that. I don't doubt when Abby is not there and she makes comments about that. I know they've seen this stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I think is weird is what they were talking about is Abby's talking about the girls' mood. You weren't there to be around the girls' mood. You don't know how things went. Shut up, Gretchen. Just be quiet. Abby's not even out here. She can't hear you. Regina's not listening right now. Melissa then goes on to tell the moms that she has a big announcement. Christy jokes that she's pregnant, and Melissa's like, oh my God, don't even joke about that. And instead, she tells us that she will be leaving early this week to go on vacation with her boyfriend, and that Maddie and Kenzie will be staying with Gianna in her absence. Holly tells Melissa that she can't believe she's going to be missing another week because she was just gone the week before. And then Christy tells us in an interview that since this new guy came into the picture, it really feels like Melissa's priorities have changed. And I don't even think these moms are trying to mom guilt Melissa. They're just like, okay, I mean, the girls will be with Gianna and that's great, but Gianna's not their mom. And what do we do this week? What does that mean? It's nationals.
And it's nationals.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Gianna is a great caregiver. She loves those girls. We know that. But it's not the same as having your parent there. Unfortunately, before we can get any more insight into this, Abby comes out to get the moms, and she says she really needs them to be in rehearsal and stay in there the whole time, even though last week she yelled at them for being in rehearsal and kicked them all out. So, again, just Abby things. Whatever she wants, whenever she wants it, until it's not convenient for her. It's time for Chloe's solo rehearsal, and we find out that her solo for the week is a contemporary lyrical piece called Another Season. This is the solo that she did a couple of weeks before when they were really focused on Maddie, Brooke, and Nia's dancing, but all the girls had pieces, and we didn't really get to see everyone. Chloe tells us that she really likes this dance, and she's excited to go to nationals with it, and she wants to win a title with this dance. As Chloe's rehearsal progresses, Christy tells us that she's kind of noticed that Chloe has seemed a little bit off lately. She doesn't seem to be enjoying the dancing the way that she usually does, and that she's really starting to worry that something's off with Chloe. Chloe finishes dancing and we can see that she is crying. Christy tries comforting Chloe, and Chloe says that she isn't sure she wants to keep doing this. Now, to be fair, we don't know if Chloe means that she wants to quit dancing altogether, quit dancing at the pace of the show, or quit dealing with Abby, because all of those or any combination of those are completely valid. I don't know. I feel like it's very easy to jump to conclusions, and the show's also going to lead you to a specific narrative, the story that they want to tell. And it's easy as parents to hear your child say one thing and automatically assume worst case scenario, especially when you have years invested and Lord only knows how many thousands of dollars invested. But at the end of the day, it's the kid's choice, and you really need to let them. It's also okay to want to vent. Everyone wants, even if it's a job you love, everyone has a day that they're like, oh my God, I just want to quit. Let them have their feelings. They're tiny human beings and they need to vent too. Let them do it. Especially if they're coming to you with it. You want to be that safe place. You want to foster and nurture that. It's so easy to have one overreaction and lose that connection completely. Sever it, cut it off, like that moment in Inside Out where that part of Riley's brain just dead. Don't do it. Chloe does tell us in an interview that she loves to dance with her friends, but sometimes she doesn't want to do it, and sometimes she needs a break. So, again, it's really important to get that nuance. Exactly, it's totally fair. Everyone needs breaks. And as excited as these kids were for this show, nobody knew what they were signing up for. And this is a hell of a lot. Even Abby didn't know that they were going to be asked to do a new dance every week. And then, of course, Abby lost all semblance of
human decency.
Not just human decency. She didn't have that before the show. We know that. But she lost all sense of empathy. She had it at the beginning when she was like, oh my gosh, there's a new dance every week for these poor kids. She lost that really quick. And she's like, I got over it. You should get over it too. Christy tells us in her interview that hearing Chloe talk about quitting dance is hard and that she doesn't want to force Chloe to do something she doesn't want to do, but she does think that Chloe would be giving up something that she's immensely talented at. And she wants to know as a mom where she should draw the line and say enough is enough. And I think this is a really tough place that parents find themselves at. Like, okay, where do I say, like, my child is saying she wants to quit, they want to quit, he wants to quit. Where do I say this is a commitment that you made, we're going to stay and do this, you don't get to just quit everything? And when do I say, like, no, it's your life, it's your choice, when is enough enough?
I had one particular client come to mind whose parent insists that they do Girl Scouts and they complete Girl Scouts, even saying if they don't get their highest Girl Scout award that they will not be able to get their driver's license. This kid has, for as long as I've known this poor kiddo, has said that she does not want to do it.
Oh my Lord.
She doesn't want to do Girl Scouts. Yeah, and in trying to talk to the parent, I'm like, what would you say to somebody who is forcing their kids to do sports? And this parent is convinced that they are two different things. But while, yes, we want to honor our commitments, when the season's over, we don't have to continue to do those things. So I sometimes have to level with this parent and be like, yes, we want to honor commitments. Your child said that they wanted to do swimming this summer, so they have to finish out swimming this summer. But if they don't want to do swimming afterward, they don't have to. So it's hard to negotiate that. I have a lot of parents who are like, if they say they don't want to, we're at least going to finish the season. And I'm like, yeah,
that's fine.
Absolutely. Like, see it through to completion. And I think that in this case, I think Christy, as a parent, what I would recommend is that she encourage Chloe to finish the season and then reevaluate if at the end of the season, is this something you want to continue?
I also wanted to talk about children who are being forced to perform at the highest level of things without any regard to their childhoods. I do not believe that is what Chloe is being made to do here. We do know that does happen to some children who will come and go from this team, some who are not even in the show yet, without any regard for their childhoods. And it is really sad. Like, if your child comes to you and says, I want to do soccer, and they become really good at soccer, and even if they want to stay going to soccer through high school, they go to college on a soccer scholarship, they don't have to go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
If your child likes singing and dancing at a young age, they don't have to go on a world tour.
I don't have to be on Broadway.
And that's also not the only way that they can make money or do. Also, one of the things that Rachel and I talked about when we started this podcast was Rachel asked me, how would we make this profitable? And I said, maybe let's reframe how we talk about profit. And I think now for Rachel, one of the biggest boons of this podcast is the amount of time we get to spend with one another. That is valuable. And profit is value.
Mhm.
Does your child draw value from this? Did you draw value from the experience with your child? If the answer is no, then don't continue with that activity. If your child gets to the point where they don't want to participate in it anymore, but you got a lot of value out of it, you got your money's worth. To close Chloe's rehearsal, we get a shot of Chloe lying on the floor right after she's finished dancing, and we can see that she is exhausted. And just as soon as we see her body relax, Abby bangs into the door yelling, "Sickle foot, you're early!" And Chloe sits up flinching, and it's so sad, but it's so fitting, and not great. It's now the next day, and Abby calls the moms in for the most twisted version of a parent-teacher conference I have ever seen in my entire life, and I taught for 15 years.
You've seen a lot. You've done
seen
a lot.
a lot of them. I've done a lot of them. We used to do student-led teacher conferences. I used to do student-led teacher conferences with my own Abby Lee Miller of a mother. This being the most twisted I've ever seen says something. Abby tells us in an interview that she wants to sit the moms down in a very casual environment, a very non-combative way, and tell them where their kids are and where they need to go based on the judges' critiques. So we all know that this is going to go super well, and her arguments are going to be super rational, and she's not going to say anything inflammatory. Get too far into this, I do want to let you all know, I'm not going to tell you, just like with the 7 Deadly Sins dance, I'm not going to tell you which kid she said which shitty thing about. If you all want to go find out all of the tea, you can go watch the episode. It's on Hulu. It's on YouTube. You can find that out yourself. I'm not doing it.
And honestly, you can probably guess just based on what she says.
What she says and who says what after. But I'm not putting the puzzle pieces together for you. I'm just giving them to you. I don't wanna.
Noodle, use your noodle.
Miska Muska Mickey Mouse. You can use your mouse tools. Abby starts by saying that one of the kids has gotten the same feedback from the competition judges that Abby has been giving her for weeks in class, and that working with this child is like working with a brick wall. And she points at the wall behind the parents. And Holly...
I also want to make note that this is in front of the other mothers. This is not
That's what makes it twisted.
Like a regular teacher
all of the moms are
going
to hear what all of the other kids are doing wrong. Holly tells us that Abby's word choices are always poor at best, and so no one's surprised by this. Abby moves on to another child, saying that this kid needs more confidence. The judges say they need more confidence. This is a kid that Abby will go on for years saying that this kid is the cockiest, brattiest, most full of herself kid she's ever worked with. Lastly, Abby moves on to one of the pairs of siblings. We all can guess which one. And she starts calling them slow, not swift, lazy, says that they refuse to work hard and that their mom allows them to be mediocre. When their mom responds, saying that she's fine with her kids' performances, she's very proud of them, she loves them no matter what. Also, by the way, none of these kids on this team are mediocre. Mediocre children cannot do side and front aerials, they cannot do chin stands, they cannot learn new dances every week. This is so far beyond mediocre. Not that there's anything wrong with being a normal child. Calling a normal child mediocre is disgusting. Being a child is hell. Your body is stretching all the time. Your brain is misfiring all the time. And people around you are like, here, learn long division and multiplication and memorize all the books of the Bible and all the presidents of the United States
you have
while
very
you're at
little control over all of it.
and do everything we tell you. while you're at it, while this is all happening to your body. So when their mom responds, when this set of siblings' mom responds and says she's fine with their kids' performance, she's proud of them, she loves them no matter what, Abby completely devolves into a full-on Hall of Fame narcissistic hissy fit, flailing her arms around, going, I want more, I want more, I want more. Ray, I wanted to ask if you had any like insight into what someone should do if they're around a narcissist who starts to implode.
Your safest course of action, much like with some wild animals, is to play dead. Stonewalling, gray rocking, so minimal responses.
Yeah, can you explain gray rocking? Because some people may not know what that is.
So gray rocking is when a narcissist will try to get information out of you. They'll try to get a response from you. This is where a lot of the fawn response comes from, is people not wanting to experience the potential punishment from a narcissist. So they placate and, okay, yeah, you're right, whatever. But gray rocking would be like, how about you pretend to be Abby and I'll be that parent and I
want more. I want more. I want more. I want more.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. You say very little. You give them nothing.
So less is more.
They won't like it. Yes.
Okay.
They won't necessarily like it, but they don't have to.
Nice. Another thing that Abby does in this conversation is she tries to accuse Holly of asking for special treatment because she is a teacher. And she says that dance teachers and academic teachers cannot be compared. They're not like apples to apples. They're like apples to oranges. If your teacher's coach or extracurricular activities teacher ever tells you that they can't be asked to pay attention to your child's learning style, or especially as it pertains to not screaming at them or not touching them, or run and don't look back, start screaming, scream loud, scream long until someone listens. That's not safe. This conversation ultimately ends when Kelly reaches a breaking point when Abby reminds her that she can't get away from her because one of her kids has won a title. And Kelly says, well, you can take the crown back, shove it up your ass. And Abby responds to the swearing the same way she always does, by feigning shock and telling Kelly to leave. And so Kelly says, sure, fine, thanks. And when I was writing my script, I had to go back and rewatch this. I was like, they can't just be how it ends. And it is. That's just the end of it. Shouldn't say anything to anyone else. And it's the next day. And we're back in group rehearsal where Abby is yelling at the girls. And as rehearsal progresses, we notice Chloe making more mistakes than is typical for her. And Abby tells us in voiceover that she doesn't know what is going on with Chloe. She hasn't been herself in rehearsal, but she needs her to pull it together because there's no time for all this woe is me stuff. Next, we head into rehearsal for Maddie and Chloe's duet, and they're dancing the Black Swan this week, which is one of our all-time favorites. It's so good. And Abby tells us that this is an edgier duet than these two have ever done before, and that they get to battle it out on stage. And as the two girls dance, Chloe tells us in an interview that she gets to play the Black Swan in this dance. And while she knows that she's usually a goody two-shoes, she's excited to be on her bad side this week. And it's so fucking cute. It is the next day, and Abby and the girls are getting ready to head out for a regularly scheduled production field trip of the week. And Abby tells us she's going to take the girls to the beach at the lake without the moms so that they can all hang out away from the moms. And as they're loading into the van to leave, Christy asks Abby if she can talk to her for a moment. And Christy tells Abby that Chloe has mentioned wanting to leave dance. And Abby has, of course, exactly the reaction we all expect her to have. She laughs in Christy's face and says that she has hundreds of kids who would love to be in Chloe's shoes right now. And so if she wants to quit, that's fine. I wanted to ask you, Rachel, about the impact of coaches and teachers who use this there's always more where you came from mentality with children.
I mean, we see it in the corporate world. Like, you're replaceable. Like, if you were to die on the way home from work, they would have your job posted the next day.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not a healthy mentality. And if Abby truly were concerned with raising up her kids and encouraging them, she would be like, oh, well, why doesn't she want to dance anymore? So the lack of empathy is not shocking, but astounding.
So Abby and the girls arrive at the beach to do some stretching, because we couldn't possibly just let the kids play at the beach. That'd be, too much. And
Why would you let the kids be kids?
no, never. I will say everything. Watching this scene this go around, I noticed that everything has that Vivi audition feeling. Everything feels like very forced and uncomfy. Abby talks to the girls about feeling their inner beauty, and she has them all say, I feel beautiful on the inside. And they say it kind of just like that because they have to parrot it back to her, and they say it in the most robotic and unenthused way possible because, of course, they do. They're like, oh my God, why are we doing this? Kenzie tells us in an interview that she thinks sometimes Miss Abby doesn't know what she's talking about. And hell yes, Kenzie, you know all the things. Abby gets the girls set up on their towels and she asks Chloe to go on a walk with her. And on their walk, Abby and Chloe have what to me felt like a very clearly like production-led conversation about Chloe's dance career. There were like clear cuts in the conversation, and then there are times where Chloe's wording and her inflection and her voice, it sounds very much like when she's being asked to say something like in her interviews. So I was like, I'm pretty sure production asked her to do that. Abby tells Chloe that her mom said that she wanted to quit dance, and Chloe clarifies that she just thinks that they've been doing a lot lately and she's feeling overwhelmed. And Abby does that thing that narcissists do where she goes, well, that's not what your mom told me. Your mom said that you want to quit and you never want to come back. And that's
much narcissism.
Yes, much narcissism. Very wow. Chloe clarifies further, saying that she thinks she just needs a break. And Abby says, well, it's fine to take breaks. Everyone needs a break. But remember that I have lots of people ready to take your spot. Everyone's replaceable. And this last little bit is the part that really felt like production led to me. Chloe asks Abby if she thinks that she could be a Rockette or be on Broadway someday. And Abby tells her that if she listens to Miss Abby and does exactly what she tells her to do, everything is possible. And also that her confidence level needs to be over the top. But don't forget, you're nothing special and I could replace you without lifting a finger. And that Chloe is special, though, because she's Abby's first choice to dance with Maddie. And to me, that just like said everything. It's not, none of this was even really about Chloe. It's about Maddie. Like, yeah, sure, you're special and you can be a professional dancer, but I just let you be here because you're my first choice to dance with, Maddie.
So narcissists will do this thing too, where they'll like devalue you and devalue you and devalue you, but then they'll give you some sort of value, but it's attached to them.
Mm-hmm. That's very much what this felt like. And I also didn't like but you have to listen to me and do exactly what I tell you to do, which to me, I think Chloe probably knows means like, don't do what my mom says. Chloe tells us in an interview that Miss Abby told her that she was good enough to be a professional dancer, and that was what Miss Abby says is really important to her because she's her dance teacher and her opinion means a lot. And that's just broke my heart. This poor little baby. It's a little later that day, and we're heading out for our second production field trip of the day with the moms and the girls to go bowling. Melissa tells us that she's really glad to get the opportunity to do something fun with the girls since she's going to be leaving. And just as she tells us this, Maddie and Mackenzie's dad, Kurt, enters the bowling alley. This reeks of production, and I was like, oh, there's going to be some really inappropriate drama. Here we go. And as soon as Melissa catches a glimpse of Kurt, she physically flinches. You can like see it happen. And Kurt and Melissa get into a very standard divorced parents at the Saturday soccer game fight with the cameras following their every move. And it feels very yucky. And you can tell that Kurt was being prompted by production. Like, you could almost hear the like things that production were saying to him, like, aren't you so mad that Melissa didn't call you? Aren't you so mad that your girls were going to be without a parent this week at nationals? Aren't you? Like, based on what he goes to say to Melissa, you can hear what he was. And this whole thing has the same feeling from when Abby found out that her mom had been taken to the hospital last week. Like, this is real life for these people. And this is Maddie and Mackenzie's real life. And we know that Maddie and Mackenzie didn't really have a good, clear... This is just so terrible, because these are these kids' real lives, and these are these kids' real parents, and this isn't a sitcom. This isn't a drama show. This isn't... I mean, it is a drama show, but I mean, like, this isn't, Grey's Anatomy or whatever. This is, like, no one's calling cut.
We're not playing Barbies.
We're not playing Barbies. This isn't a play. This isn't going to stop for them. And putting it on national TV is disgusting.
I mean, having divorced parents who could not get along to save their children's lives, I always ask parents, I'm like, okay, is there a parenting plan? Like, what is the parenting plan? Do you have a plan in place for like a right to first refusal? So that means that the parent who they're not with at that time could say, hey, I want to take the kid. If you're going out of town, I want to take the kids. You're going on vacation, so you won't really get to have them anyway. Having that, like, I am confused as to what they had in place.
I wonder, I mean, because we know it was fresh, I wonder if they didn't yet, and if it was just kind of assumed custody and visitation. Because I've had a few friends that have been through that, and they had, assumed stuff, and that can get really messy really quickly. The idea is that it's supposed to be more amicable and more, like, trusting, but
never is.
No, it never is.
But I think that the way that it was brought up could be part of it, but kids in divorce, when their parents are against each other because of whatever happened in the marriage, you should not let that impact your kids and opportunities for your kids. And Kurt was threatening to take all of that away. Not to say that, like, he was necessarily in the wrong, but there was certainly a point where things could have been agreed upon. But I think he was just so opposed to dance because of Melissa, and I don't think it had anything to do with the kids.
Both Melissa and Kurt have this thing about control. We've seen Melissa, kind of like scrunch down on both Maddie and Mackenzie in moments of stress. And right here, we're seeing Kurt do the same thing. He's like, I could get control. We know that it ultimately ends up okay. Maddie and Mackenzie ultimately end up largely okay. They're grown-ups now. They're okay. But it is terrifying to look at this situation in this small moment and be like, oh my Lord.
Going to defaulting to another reality show, Judge Judy has said it best. You cannot hate your co-parent more than you love your children.
This whole bowling fiasco ends with Kurt telling us that he believes, again, he believes the dance is the reason his family broke up, and that he will not be leaving this week. He's going to stay here in Tahoe with his girls. So we will see how this goes. It's the next day, and we join Brooke and Paige for their duet rehearsal. Kelly tells us that this week's really important because it is nationals, and there are no more chances after this one, so they need to win. She also tells us that she's excited for this dance because Brooke and Paige have never had a duet before, and, like, I just think that's so, like, aw. I love that they got to do this. I wish it had... We'll get into it. As the girls...
Been on better terms.
Yep. As the girls start rehearsal, Paigey, I just love little baby Paige. She's so cute. Paige tells us that she's dancing with her sister this week and that their dance is called Ooh La La, and she really likes it. Unfortunately, things cannot remain nice and happy in Highland Land for too long, and Abby has Maddie in the main rehearsal room with both her and Gianna, leaving Paige and Brooke working once again with a guest choreographer in a side room. Kelly points out that this is not fair and that Maddie shouldn't need both of her main teachers in there to work on her dance, at least not for the whole time. And of course, this leads exactly where we think it's going to. Abby and Kelly
Nowhere.
devolve into a screaming match where Abby tells Kelly that her kids aren't smart and they don't deserve her time. Production does this disgusting thing where when Abby says some kids are a joy to work with, we get this beautiful shot of Maddie turning across the floor, and some kids don't deserve her time. And when she says that, we get a shot of Brooke picking her teeth. I hate this because the cameras were on these kids at all times. There is complimentary footage of Brooke and there is non-complimentary footage of Maddie. Both things exist.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you used one to defame one child and you shouldn't.
It's a narrative. Control.
It's a narrative control, and you also shouldn't be keeping the footage of the kids doing normal human things. Everyone picks their nose. Everyone picks their teeth. Everyone does this stuff. You wouldn't want it put out there of you. Don't do it to children. This is disgusting. This is gross behavior. When Kelly brings up the valid point that she's just saying that Maddie doesn't need both of the teachers in there, it's fine if she has one, she just doesn't need both. And for the whole time, Abby screams at Kelly that she's just jealous of Maddie. Because, of course, we can't get anywhere without that. Kelly, this is the thing. She's like, oh, okay, we've hit the point where no one's going to listen to me anymore. They're just hearing I'm jealous of Maddie. Fine, go ahead. Go let Maddie win for the week. I'm done. Come on, girls, let's leave. And Kelly ends up taking her girls and leaving. So mark your bingo cards, folks. Kelly has left the building. It's finally competition day, and we find out that we are at Starbound National Finals because it has taken us this long to be told which freaking competition we were going to. Abby is marching around the dressing room as the girls get ready, yelling at everyone, obvi, because duh. And Kurt enters the dressing room to go over to Maddie, who's getting ready for a solo, to have a chat. And Kurt tries to give Maddie some encouragement, which I think is a fine thing. Like,
not in the dressing room though. These are young girls changing.
It's not about that. It's not about that, because I've consumed lots of other media around children in performance. There are dance dads. There are cheer dads. There are gymnastics dads. If Kurt was Maddie's designated parent, or one if they switched off, this wouldn't be a weird thing. But he's not. The girls have a little changing area with a curtain. That's not the problem. The problem is Kurt's not usually there. So this freaks her out. If things were reversed and Kurt was the designated parent and Melissa came in, she'd probably feel just as weird. I had friends.
It's a difficulty adapting to change.
Yes, I had friends that friends that were assigned female at birth that lived with their dad, and their dad came and did all the stuff with them. And when their mom would come back, at the moment of, the climax moment of their activity, they'd be like, oh my God, why are you here? I'm about to Bridget Girl Scouts. I'm about to go on stage for my dance recital. Please wait until after the show. The kids know that they're expected to put on some sort of I hate to say it, but show for the other parent, and they're concentrated about getting ready for the other show. So it's not about I don't even think it's about the dad being in the dressing room. I think it's just about you are not who's supposed to be here right now. You are not my designated adult. Go away from me. I'll be with you in a minute. And I understand that Kurt's well, I got to go do the dad thing right now. Mom's not here. I got to go do it. And I understand and respect that. However, when because Maddie verbalizes and says to him, you make me nervous. You're making me nervous. Just go. You're making me nervous. And he says, no, I don't. I don't make you nervous. Mm-hmm. It goes back to what we've already talked about during this episode alone. We've talked about it in a lot of other ones. When parents discomfort, they won't deal with it. And they have to have control. So your child's not allowed to have their feelings, not even on their, like, the biggest day of their thing. Nothing's bigger for these kids than nationals. Maddie's not allowed to have her feelings be validated on the biggest day of her thing because it would make her parent upset.
Never.
And I think probably, Rachel, both you and I think probably a lot of our listeners have had this moment where you're at the climax of your given activity and you did something to upset one of your parents, not intentionally, and they make it all about you doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Or they're, oh, well, I don't make you feel that way.
Mhm.
It's like, how do you know that? Like, if I'm telling you that that's how I feel, then that's how I feel.
Well,
like, why are you?
And thankfully, Maddie, at this point, she's 8, so she has the ability to be like, no, I do feel that way. If this had been Mackenzie had just turned 7, so her brain still largely functions as a 6-year-old. She could have been like, wait, does that mean that I don't feel that way? Don't say this to children. Gaslighting to them can cause gaslighting to anyone can cause irreparable damage, but gaslighting to children can cause irreparable damage that years of therapy cannot fix. Decades of therapy cannot fix. You have rewired their brains.
Maybe centuries could, though.
Kurt does eventually leave, and once Maddie and Chloe are ready for their solos, we get a really cute moment of Christy coming in, giving them both mommy hugs. One for Maddie, she says, because your mommy isn't here, and one for Chloe because she says, I am your mommy. The girls kind of giggle, and it's sweet and silly. It could have come off as like, I'll give you one because your mommy's not here, and I'll give you one because I am your mommy. But I don't think that the girls even took it that way. Like, they giggled and they thought it was funny. They were like,
they have such a good friendship.
they have
and
such
relationship.
You're gonna
at
see
this
that. We
point.
got some shots of this of their friendship this episode that will just like, oh my god, it's gonna kill you, and it kills me anyway. But like, they giggle, and like, I think they were just both like, oh, Miss Christy, you're so silly. Like, I love these two. I love these babies. Anyway, it's time for solos, and the girls are walking to the stage, and Christy tells us that she thinks Chloe's probably feeling a little bit defeated right now, and that since Las Vegas, Chloe's been feeling the Maddie-Chloe comparison a little bit more than she usually does, and that they shouldn't be compared at all because they're two completely different people who deserve to be treated as individuals. Maddie takes the stage with her solo called Manhattan, and don't get me wrong, it's a really pretty dance. I just completely forgot this one existed. It does not stand out to me in the catalog of Maddie solos. She dances it beautifully. I'm not saying anything about her performance. She does a lot of hashtag Maddie face. It's just, it's not the best piece she's ever given, is what I'm saying. Like, the piece of music doesn't stand out to me. Her costume looks very similar to the one she wore in Angel. It's not a piece that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Maddie doing that dance. Chloe has a lot of those too, where I don't really remember her doing those dances. It's not anything to do with the kid. It's about the story and it's just not my favorite. After Maddie exits the stage, Kurt tells us that he thinks that Maddie is a spectacular dancer, and every time he sees her, he's just so proud of her. Ooh, Rachel, you're making a face. What's the face? Spill the tea, sis.
Because he wanted to pull her from dance.
No, he wants to pull her from Abby's studio. He doesn't use.
I don't think she would dance if she was pulled from Abby because I think she's too enmeshed. I think there's too much enmeshment that Maddie would stop
I think
dancing.
we know that that's true, and I think Melissa knows that that's true, but I do not think that Kurt knows that that's true. While Chloe is waiting to take the stage, this is where we get some of my favorite moments of Maddie and Chloe together. Maddie and Chloe give each other this like huge hug, and they have these gigantic smiles on their faces, like from ear to ear. It looks like their faces are gonna crack. They are just so happy. God, these kids are so cute, and their friendship is so fucking sweet. Like, it makes me so upset that their moms didn't let them be friends for a while. I understand why it happened, kind of, but I hate that production manipulated things to the point where that had to happen, because like, if you watch, this is an episode that's worth watching for all the little bits and pieces that are in here, and just like looking at this, like, they were excited to see each other, and they had been separated for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They're so cute. And so right before Chloe goes on stage, Maddie gives Chloe a kiss on the cheek, and she gets some of her lipstick on Chloe's cheek, and they're both like, oh no. And so Maddie like licks her thumb and does the mom like wipe off. It's, oh my god, it's so cute. Oh my god, the two of them.
And that's why we can't have nice things, Abby.
Why
Abby,
can't
why
you
we
let
can't
us
have nice things?
Why can't you let the babies have nice things? They were baby best friends. Chloe tells us while this is happening in a voiceover that when people talk about the pressure between her and Maddie, the pressures are kind of different. She says that Maddie has pressure on her because she's won all season long, and Chloe has pressure on her because she has to prove that she can do it too. And just, why do these kids have to be thinking about this stuff? Fuck you, Abby. Chloe takes the stage and she is dancing beautifully. We get a really good shot of her dance, and then this ominous sound starts playing over the top of her music, and it's getting louder and louder and louder until it completely overtakes her music, and we find out that she's going to make a mistake. And she freezes on stage like Paige did. And she is now completely frozen on stage, having forgotten her solo, having a full-blown panic attack right there in the middle of the stage. Abby, of course, not understanding how fight, flight, or freeze works, she tells us that Chloe knows what it looks like when you freeze on stage, so why she didn't just pirouette suit new and run off the stage, she'll never know.
Because her frontal lobe isn't even developed, but in stress, your frontal lobe, like, shuts off. So not only do we not have a fully developed frontal lobe, we have a not working, not fully developed frontal lobe.
Christy tells us that this happened right at the end of Chloe's solo, the last 8 count, which is, it's literally like the end. Like, so that is completely devastating. And that because Chloe has always been an open book, she has a really hard time covering stuff like this up. She wishes that she could have run right up there and scooped Chloe up and taken her away, but she knows that she couldn't have done that, and that's not how these things work. Chloe comes back to her body just enough to sit down in her ending pose as the song is finishing, and then she exits the stage. And once she gets backstage, Maddie tries to comfort her. Chloe is crying, and Maddie's like, "Oh, don't cry, you're gonna make me cry." And again, I'm just like, Abby, why couldn't you let these girls just be friends? They just really wanted to be friends and love each other. And Chloe tells us that she was upset and confused as to why she'd forgotten her dance. She knew the dance. She'd done it before, so she didn't know why she'd messed up, and that was why she was crying. Completely understandable. Mama Christy arrives, and she scoops Chloe up, and she tells her that she was beautiful and she doesn't have to cry. And Christy tells us that Chloe is just a little girl, and everyone makes mistakes, and no one is perfect. And I'm really glad that Chloe had that support with her. And I really wish that all people and all children had that. It is now time for solo awards, and Maddie wins Little Miss Starbound overall high score award and title, and she gets crowned. Kurt tells us that he's kind of a humble guy, but he's very proud of Maddie, and he says that he hopes she continues her success, but that he doesn't want it to go to her head. And Maddie tells us that she's the title winner and she has 9 crowns now, which she says is so many that they don't really fit on the shelf in her bedroom. So she thinks she's going to have to ask her mom to build another shelf, and we can tell she's really proud of her accomplishment. This sounds like Maddie talking. This is what Maddie sounds like when she talks about her crowns. She doesn't say like, I have more than the others, I'm better than the others. She says stuff like, my crowns don't fit on my shelf anymore. I need to ask my mom for another shelf. It is very cute and very like logical and practical, and oh my god, I loved this moment. I'm just like, she will talk about winning, just let her do it her way. It's so much better.
It's self-centered. It's self-centered, and I don't say self-centered in a negative way. It's self-centered in an age-appropriate way, because we know that kids, like, they eventually develop the perspective taking and the external, like, being aware of other human beings having lives and having different lives than they have. And so this being a very like self-centered, like, I won, like,
and now I have so many crowns they don't fit in my room. Like, and everyone has a little bit of like healthy narcissism. My therapist was trying to talk to me about that this week because I associate narcissism with such an awful thing. And she's like, no, it's you know, it's like the self-preservation part of you. You have to have it or you're gonna die. And I'm like, this is like, Maddie's not a narcissist, and she rejects malignant narcissism when she's being asked to participate in it. But you know, she does have the like, I have a lot of crowns. I have so many crowns. I'm gonna have to ask for a new shelf. Like, she recognizes that she's done a lot of impressive things, but not at the expense
Very
of other
age
people.
appropriate.
And that's
Very
nice.
age appropriate.
Very age appropriate, very sweet. And I love that for her. Good job, Maddie. We were proud of you then, and we are proud of you now. Not that we expect that you'll ever hear this, but we are.
But if
If you ever do, we're so proud of you, baby girl. We really are. Once they're back in the dressing room, Christy talks with Chloe and tells her that she couldn't have been any more proud of her if she had won all the awards and all the crowns. She says she wouldn't be any prouder of her than she is right now, and she jokes that she'll still let Chloe live with them. And they kind of pan over to Maddie at this moment, and we see Maddie has this like look on her face like, huh. And of course, this could have been a shot of Maddie at another time, but as a kid who grew up without like a normal support system, a healthy support system, I recognized this look as like, huh, I've only seen that on TV. Is that what that looks like? Does that happen in real life? Anyway, it is time for duets, and as the girls are getting ready, Kelly is telling us that she is upset once again at how things have turned out for her daughter's dance. She points out that Maddie and Chloe are doing a dance that they already prepared weeks before, that their costumes were custom ordered and made specifically for each of their bodies, that they had input from both Abby and Gia, while everything Brooke and Paige got was rushed with no input from either of their teachers. She even had to make their costumes with bras from the ball. But that Abby expects both duets to go out and do just as well as one another, and that if, the duet that got no attention doesn't, they're mediocre and they're lazy, and that's a problem. I have to say, it felt like all of Kelly's, like every problem that Kelly has had this whole season kind of came together in one craptastic package with a really shitty bow on top for like the dance season finale. Here you go. The bingo blackout, but also it's like, Jesus Christ, like Emmy and Oscar award-winning writers could not have managed. They spend months, years trying to make this happen, and it just fell right into Kelly's lap. Hot damn, poor thing.
Sometimes I feel like my life is like that.
Right? Like, it's one of those moments where you're like, I really hope an alien is watching. Someone's got to be streaming this. I hope, because
this can't be real. This is not real life. This is a simulation,
yes,
right?
Someone needs to be enjoying this. It's got to be for something.
Because it's not me.
Brooke and Paige take the stage, which is one of my favorite things I have ever said. And we get a nice shot of the dance. They perform very well, especially considering the limited amount of rehearsal time that they got. And Abby tells us that if Brooke and Paige hadn't stormed out and left the way that they did, they could have really nailed this number. But they left, so what they got was mediocre. From a dance perspective, I have to say that this dance could have been incredible. It's cute, but it could have been incredible. And I'm not saying that Abby is correct. It could have been incredible in the way that Abby is saying. The song was really cute. The costumes were adorable, and it lent itself to telling a really great story. But that would have meant having to have worked with people who either knew Brooke and Paige or who were allotted more time to work with Brooke and Paige one afternoon right before a competition was never going to do it. And it makes me sad because, especially since this was Brooke and Paige's very first duet together, Brooke tells us in an interview that even though everyone was telling them that they did a really great job when they came off stage, she knows it wasn't their best work and that their timing was off because every time she looked over, she could kind of see that they weren't matching each other. And she says that she just feels like it wasn't the best time they ever danced. Brooke, again, with the amazing insight. Kelly, please, if you ever hear this, pat yourself on the back. Great job parenting. What 13-year-old has insight like that? Chloe and Maddie are ready to take the stage for Black Swan, and before they go on, Chloe tells us that this is nationals, so they really have to win. They're really driving that home in the interviews this week, because we're gonna forget. Maddie and Chloe take the stage, and we get a really great shot of the dance. This is one of those dances from Dance Moms that everyone should see. Again, if you're gonna watch any episode that we covered this season, please go watch this one. It's a really great one. The girls nail the dance, they nail their characters, and it's so good. It's so good. This is a dance I wish they had done again in later years because the girls had a lot of fun doing it together, and it's cute. And
they best friends.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, they hit the final pose, and Kurt and Christy go completely wild in the audience, as they should. So good. Abby tells us in an interview that she thinks Chloe really redeemed herself in front of this panel of judges with this dance, that she looked evil and sophisticated, and she went out there and knocked it out of the park. It is nice to hear Abby praise Chloe, and even if she used the word evil when she did it, it's a weird thing, but we'll take what we can get. Okay?
I mean, that's the character.
It is the character. She does play the Black Swan, and she kills Maddie's character, but it's just like weird, man. It's a weird thing to say. It is now time for the group dance, and as the girls are getting ready in the dressing room, Abby is yelling at them about how they need to be like the mountains and the lake that they saw at the beach. They need to project that beautiful scenery when they're on stage to the judges. Like, what the fuck, Abby? It's wrong.
Surprise. Abby's being Abby.
A, nothing that Abby does for you comes without a price, but B, go out there and do something that would not make sense to 20-year-olds in a dance major at college, let alone small, tiny
Nothing that a narcissist does for you will be without cost.
Yes, but not even just sitting on your towel at the beach. You thought the price was that you didn't get to play at the beach, but oh no. Anyway, Abby moves on to then start talking about inappropriate things regarding the girls' costumes and the judges. The girls, I guess, were worried that their costumes wouldn't stay down, and Abby is saying whatever it is you think in your brain that she was saying. I'm not going to repeat it. You can watch it if you want. It's gross, and I imagine not all of the girls were worried about the thing, and if they weren't before, they sure are now. And I really wish that someone would have brought Abby a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to glue her mouth shut. Because Jesus Christ. Please shut up. And to add to all of the drama, Maddie and Kenzie's dad enters the dressing room, and Abby immediately changes course to start yelling at him, going, no, you need to leave. And she kind of pushes Kurt out the door. And once they're out in the hallway, Kurt and Abby argue about whether or not he makes Maddie nervous, whether Maddie should even be at Abby's studio, whether Abby had anything to do with the dissolution of his and Melissa's marriage. They only talk about one of the kids, which is Maddie. So, hashtag Kenzie erasure.
Surprise.
And during this argument, we get shots of Maddie with her ear pressed up against the door to the dressing room, and Kenzie looking frustrated and worried. And again, this is not the kind of stuff that should be used for entertainment. None of this needed to be filmed. This is a family's real life. This is these kids' real life. They're about to go on stage for nationals. Could we have done this last week? They were in a nationals there too, but it wasn't the nationals for the show. I guess the only slightly bright side to this version of the altercation is that they did go out into the hallway, so we can assume that they could only be overheard a little bit, and at least it wasn't right in front of all the kids and Maddie and Kenzie. At least Maddie had to push her ear up against the door.
Which is contrary to a lot of the quote-unquote altercations that Abby likes to have with the other parents.
Mm-hmm. So
there was at least some sense of some sort of dignity.
It's the very, very slightly bright yet also dim side. We will take the very least that we can get, because we don't get a choice.
We don't see it a lot.
No. It's finally time for the group dance, and the girls take the stage, and they dance beautifully. The costume is gorgeous. This is one of the dances. This is what I mean when I say some dances stand out. This is a dance you'll remember. It's really pretty. The story is cute. Baby Kenzie is so adorable. It's so lovely to see her on stage, even if she is the human prop.
The song is, I heard the song and I was like, oh, I know this song.
It's
like, it's one of those songs.
It's a really pretty song. If you're a music person, if you're a choir person, you'll like this song. It's got really fun harmonies. It's a good dance. It's all around a good show. It's a good piece of entertainment. It's a good piece of art. It's great. After the dance is over, Brooke tells us that she really wants to win with this piece because she thought it was a really good dance. And I think if Brooke is excited about one of the pieces, again, I think that is if you don't believe Rachel and I's endorsement, please take Brooke. Don't take our word for it. Or go full Reading Rainbow. Don't take my word for it. Believe Brooke, believe the kid, and go watch the dance. It's that good. Brooke liked it.
Because she's a teenager, and
She doesn't
anytime a
like
teenager
the
says
stuff
that
they
they
were
like
doing.
something, like,
She thought all the stuff they were doing was cheesy. She liked this dance. It's that good. It's that fun. It's that pretty. We head into group awards, and the girls come out on top. Everyone is happy. They even beat the next closest team to them by a whole point. So, you know, Abby she can be upset they didn't win by 10 points, but, you know, at least it wasn't a fraction of a point. We'll take what we can get. It's a very good day. And Abby keeps saying in her interviews and voiceovers, they won the whole thing. They won the whole thing. And back in the dressing room, the girls do their 1, 2, 3. We're Abby Lee. 4, 5, 6. You should see her. They have this cheer that they do, and I have to say, it entertains me that Abby's team cheer has all of her dancers say that they are Abby Lee. You know, you could read into that, but you know, whatever. Anyway, it's the first time we hear it on the show, and the moms are all like, "Do you know this? I don't know this." It feels very much like the character that breaks the fourth wall in a musical. How does everyone know the words to this song?
I wonder though if it was one of the girls who made it up and they just kind of took it over.
That would be interesting. I wonder if we could find that out. Kurt tells us that he is going to do whatever he can to try and pull Maddie and Kenzie from Abby's studio next year because he is tired of the way that she treats people, the moms and the kids. And I would love if that were the reason I thought he was starting to do it, but I don't 100% believe that that's why he wants to do it. I think he wants control and he wants to hurt Melissa. And when parents seek to hurt one another, you're going to inevitably hurt your children. Nobody wins, but I'm fine if the adults lose. I'm not okay that they will hurt their children in the process. That's my issue. Abby caps off the whole episode by telling the girls and the moms that they won't be heading home quite yet because they are going back to LA, and she has a surprise for the girls. So that is the end of the episode. So we get one more after this, and that will be the end of our season. Rachel, what do we think our hot button topics are for this week? I think divorce, how to navigate divorce should probably be one.
You cannot hate your co-parent more than you love the child.
All right. Reminder, we have all of our regularly scheduled resources for this season. Being aware of anti-racism, especially in spaces of education and where children are. If children are young enough to experience racism, we are all old enough to learn about it. Anything else?
Print off your bingo cards.
Print off your bingo cards. Play. Play with us. All right. Rachel, what are your takeaways from the episode?
Maddie and Chloe are just adorable together.
Maddie and Chloe deserve all the best things in life, but so do the Highland girls. That'll be mine. Maddie and Chloe deserve all the nice things, but so did the Highland girls. All the babies did.
All of them.
But this week, all the babies, but Brooke and Paige
are duetties.
Deserved a better duetty. That is all from us this week. We will be back again with our season finale, so don't miss that. Print off your bingo cards and play with us for the season finale, because that'll be a good time. As always, I have been Kacie, not Rachel.
And I have been Rachel, not Kacie.
And we'll see you next time. Bye!
CBT in the TV is hosted by Rachel Sprague and Kacie Campbell. Our show is produced by Rachel Sprague, Kacie Campbell, and Yakov Paley. Editing by Yakov Paley. Our theme song was written, composed, and performed by Emily McNally. Please join us on Instagram and TikTok at CBT in the TV for even more fun and access to the resources mentioned in today's episode. Thanks for joining us.